Okay, so when it comes to the topic of growing your handmade business, you've probably heard of some pretty common tips, tricks, strategies like niching down, collaborating with other creators, doing craft markets, posting consistently on social media. All very good, all very sensible, all very boring. Hello and welcome back, or welcome if you are brand new here. I am Kim. This is the Coffee and Craft Chat, which is, shockingly, where I chat specifically about all things to do with running a handmade business, because that is what I do. The business that you can kind of see dotted around me is called Beech Tree Handmade. At the time of filming, I am the day before launching a shop update, and therefore I am feeling a little bit unhinged and frazzled myself, which is very much going to be the vibe of this video today. But I have my coffee, and then the craft element, as you can imagine, I just said that I was right on the cusp of launching an update, so I am done with the crafting for the shop. However, I have got a personal craft planned. And for those of you who are regulars here, it's been a while since we've been knitting socks, isn't it? Isn't that pretty? I've knitted with solid colours, I've knitted with self-striping yarn. I have yet to knit myself a pair of socks with a contrasting cuff and heel and toe. So that will be the craft, which I will of course share with you in future videos. And fingers crossed it won't be as cursed as the Christmas socks from last year. For anybody who followed along with my Vlogmas series last year, you'll know all about that. But we're not here to talk about Vlogmas. I'm not doing it this year, by the by. We're here to talk about weird and wonderful and slightly unhinged tips to grow your business. And I had a lot of fun in coming up with these. And the reason why I did come up with these in the first place was because I was procrastinating from working. I was thinking of ways that I could build my business up next year, 2026, which when I say 2026, it sounds like it just sounds so far away. It's coming up to the end of November. It's going to be here before we know it. These are things that I've only got 4, but I do believe that these things work. I've either tried them myself or I've seen other people do them. So they might be a bit weird, but they work. And they're not that unhinged. They are sensible. They're just things that don't often get talked about in videos such as these. Hence why I like it. Right, okay, so weird and wonderful tip number 1. Create a tutorial, not a tutorial. I couldn't think of a name, so I put curiosity tutorial or try me tutorial. All right, maybe it'll make more sense if I explain to you what kind of tutorial it isn't. It is not a tutorial or DIY that you monetize. For example, this is one of my products. It's a mending kit, and it has a lot of fabric patches in there that you can sew on or iron onto your clothes. And I have a video that goes along with this that shows people how to use those patches. Very good, very nice. However, it's a sales tutorial. It's one made with the intention of promoting that product. So these tutorials, these curiosity tutorials, these non-tutorials, they're basically made for the warm and fuzzies. You're not linking them to a product that you sell in your shop, but you're also not showing how to make something that you already sell. So for example, if you are a jewellery maker, you're not going to show how to make a piece that you sell, because that would create competition for your own business. You don't want to do that. But it is showing somebody how to make something that is sort of in your wheelhouse, or would attract the people that would also be interested in your stuff, in what you do, if that makes sense. I know it makes sense. I'm just getting in my own way now. And it doesn't have to be a tutorial on making something. Say you make silver jewellery. You could make a video on how to look after your jewellery, how to clean them, that sort of thing, because the people who would be interested in that kind of video would be someone who owns and maybe collects, certainly buys silver jewellery, and then that's where you're like, ta-da! You don't have to actively promote your products, but just by introducing yourself, you can say, I make jewellery, and then the people who want to know more can self-select and check you out. And that's what I mean by the curiosity. It will try me. It's kind of like their introduction to you and your work. Another one, I like this one. if I do say so myself, if you are an artist and you make, I had to write this down because I always get it wrong, ACEOs, which are, well, it stands for art cards, editions, and originals. Oh my God, I always just call them little paintings, but basically that they're collectible pieces of art, but they're very small. They have to be a certain size. I've already forgotten what size it was. I did look it up, but I didn't write it down. If I can't see it in front of me, it doesn't exist. Anywho, artists will know what I'm talking about, and I love that idea. I love the idea of being able to collect little pieces of art from different artists. And I think the only thing, well, there's two main things that's stopping me at the moment, and that is money, but also not having a clear idea of how I would display them. I'm guessing I'd stick them on my wall. But that right there would be a topic for a tutorial. It doesn't have to be a tutorial. It can just be a video about like the different ways that you can display your ACEOs. Or if you make crochet plushies, you could do a tutorial on how to make a plushie that you don't already sell in your shop, or even you know those sort of like hammocks or those nets that some people can have to put plushies in. You could make a tutorial on how to crochet one. You see, it's kind of like, as long as you get creative with it and you try and think of something that will help you stand out that's within your niche. Okay, let's move on. Weird and wonderful tip number 2. Answer a question that nobody else has answered. I mean, obviously somebody may have somewhere, but you're looking for the things that people don't usually talk about. I mean, take this video, for example. It's not really answering a question that nobody else has, but it's coming at a pretty common topic from a slightly different angle, because people usually focus on the sensible tips, and I'm here going, don't worry about the sensible, do the weird things. So what you want to do, you want to think about your niche, or you know what you do, and you want to think about it in terms of what's a little bit weird about it, what's odd, or what's uncomfortable, or dare I say, not controversial, taboo maybe. Now when I say controversial, I mean, do you put the cream or the jam on your scone first? Scone. Do you say scone or scone? If you're not in the UK, that may make no sense to you whatsoever. But you see what I mean. It's controversial in a fun way. If it's controversial in a big angry way, I would leave that. Leave it in the box. We're keeping this light. But you want to think of it in those terms. And then you want to maybe answer a question or talk about a topic through that lens. So for example, if you're a candle maker, what happens when a candle doesn't burn properly? I love candles. I have bought my fair share of cheap-ass candles from shops, and then, you know, they go out. You cannot make them burn. They're just like, no. Which, considering they're a candle, it's its one job. So I would watch a video explaining why a candle doesn't burn. It's because I'm buying cheap, mass-produced tat, that's why. Another example, again, for the crochet designers amongst you, what crochet trends that you make and sell do you secretly hate? Or maybe that you don't even make or sell. Again, that doesn't have to be just for crochet designers, that could work for any medium. Another one that could work for various mediums as well is, what tool do you use that nobody admits to using? I'm trying to think of one that I might use. It's not necessarily a tool, but I've explained in a recent video that I have an overlocker, or a serger if you're in the US, and I got a bit cranky with it, lost my temper, I broke it. We'll move on. But, well, we'll move on in a second. So I guess a tool that I use when I'm using that serger is a bit of sellotape to keep the flap shut. But it has to be something like sellotape, because obviously I need to open the flap so that I can thread the thing. So, you know, it was a lesson not to lose my temper when I'm stitching. Moving on now. I love this one. I really, I wanted to do this one, but I don't know how I would put it into practice. And that is to sell your experiments. Now I love this for a couple of reasons. One, it's a bit like seconds, like a weird and wonderful twist on a seconds line. But two, it also, as a creator, if you're anything like me and you feel like you can't take time away from working to just experiment with your medium because that's not really working, of course it is. Of course it is. Logically, I know this, but whenever I'm just playing with my medium and experimenting, there's always this nagging little voice that tells me that I should be doing the real work. Yeah, don't know how to unpack that, so I won't. I'm going to leave that in the box. My point is that this is a way of incorporating the experimentation and the playing and the creativity in a way that you can shut that voice up and say, I am working. Why? Because you could use the process as content. And if you are going to sell your experiments afterwards, you can, you know, it's a product as well. So little voice. And you can make a thing out of it. You don't want to get too serious about it. You can make it fun. So you can sell your products as like creative accidents. They don't have to be perfect. In fact, maybe the whole selling point and the thing that makes it stand out is the fact that they're not perfect. They're a mistake. They went wrong a bit, but you know, they're still here if you want them. Like seconds. I mean, if you make enough of them, you could have collections of them. Or maybe you could squirrel away all of your creative accidents over the course of a year, and then you could have like an annual collection launch. What would you call that? The Oopsie Daisy shop drop. The whips that wouldn't. I have plenty of those. Oh yeah, that one really lit a spark. It's basically seconds, but it's giving it again another weird and wonderful twist that makes it something different, something a bit more, and you can really build up on that in so many ways. And then this one I absolutely love, and I really want to do this in my own business next year. I don't know how it's going to work yet, but watch this space. It's to introduce a completely random product, and it's got to be fun. Again, fun, creative, and maybe, dare I say, pointless. We're not thinking about how we can fix somebody's problem here. We're just talking about random. So I don't know if I've spoken about like how good it is to have showstoppers, which is like it's a word that I nicked from the Great British Bake Off. They have their showstoppers, right? So in my shop years ago, I had that idea. I was like, oh, I need a showstopper that's going to stop the scroll as people are like scrolling on Etsy, and just sort of like bring them into my shop. And so I came up with this random product, and it was never supposed to be a thing. It was never supposed to be a regular thing in my shop, but it actually ended up becoming one of my best sellers. It became my best seller. It wasn't one, it became the entire business at one point. But it was basically sort of kimono style tops that I made for festivals and things like that. And they were very sparkly, but I didn't use sequins. I used a different kind of fabric, which meant I could sell them at a lower cost than sequins. And they were, yeah, as I say, extremely popular, but they were supposed to be my showstopper. It was a random idea. It was a random product that I had that in my head along the lines of stopping the scroll and catching people's attention. Well, this is less about grabbing people's attention, but more about just making something that is so random and so unique to you that it helps you stand out. But hopefully you can see my point. The more random it is, the more weird it is, the more unique it's going to be to you. So we're talking about small, cheap, very unexpected things that people could purchase. All of that to say that it's a lower barrier to entry. So it's the perfect kind of item for somebody to test out with you, because especially if you're selling on a website over some place like Etsy, it's more of a leap for people to purchase from you for the first time because there's no safety net. Okay, so I wrote down some examples, and this was when I had a lot of fun. So I was thinking of like, if you make polymer clay stuff, something like a polymer clay emotional support pebble. Oh, wait, I have the perfect example. I can't believe I didn't get this ready for the video. Okay, so I shared this on Instagram fairly recently. Look at her! This is a wee slug that an artist, CHERRELLE, made. Look, have I got it upside down? Was that the right way? She stamped the bottom, and I saw it, and I hate slugs. I don't hate slugs, but they come into the house. So I've stepped on too many in the middle of the night with bare feet. But this one, I saw this one, and I was just like, I need it. And I have another one over here. It's not really a desk buddy, and he's actually a necklace charm, but I kept him. I used to make these necklaces out of these little guys. I love him so much, and he just lives on my shelf for no reason. No reason, then he's just amazing. You know how you can get like little lucky charms or something that you can just pop in your pocket and keep there? Like a little memento that people can buy for you to sort of let you know that they're thinking of you, or like a good luck charm, something like that. And then because this is random, I got even more random with it. A crochet hat for a water bottle. Because why not? Scraps of wool, what a perfect way to use them up. Random. And I love the idea of blind bags. I don't know how I would incorporate that into my own business, but it's something that I've had in my head for some time. But I love the idea of blind bags across board. And I was thinking about like how you could also incorporate it into a like a series, like for content. So I've often wondered about how well received something like an impossible challenge blind bag would be. But then I've often left it because it's just a half-baked idea in my head. So if you want to take this and run with it, feel free. So the half-baked idea I had in my head was that I would make these blind bags of sort of materials that wouldn't usually go together, and the challenge would be that you would have to try and create something with these materials. And it was metallic embroidery thread that inspired that idea, because it's beautiful if you can use it correctly. It's a nightmare to embroider with. I absolutely hate it. I always swear. It snags like a demon. I don't enjoy it. So I use it sparsely and rarely. But if I was to make a bag of that ilk, metallic embroidery thread would be in there for sure. Anyway, you can see the point. The reason why I give you that as an example is because it's unexpected and it's fun. Those were my 4 tips. Create a tutorial that's not a tutorial. It is a tutorial, but it's not a salesy tutorial. Answer a question that nobody else is. The more weirder, the more wonderful, the better. Sell your experiments, and introduce a completely random product. And if you've got to the end of this video and that nonsense has inspired you in any way, shape or form, I would love to know how you might implement them or anything else in your business. But I really do think that injecting fun and not taking our businesses so seriously, or at least for me, I might be projecting here, but for me, I really do think that is going to be key to growing my business in the year ahead. So that's what I'm going to do. Right now though, I'm going to finish my coffee. I'm going to get back to getting things ready for tomorrow's launch. When you're watching this, it will have been launched. I hope it went well. I feel sick right now. That's why I'm making this weird video, because I need to distract myself. I hate the day before launches. All right then, folks, I will hopefully see you again next week. Ta-ra.